Welcome to Design to Help Your Business Grow. I'm your host, Randy Lynn Johnson, with Pasley Commercial Interiors. So, Robin, over the past few episodes, we've talked about ergonomic furniture, the psychology of color and lighting, but today I wanted to unpack using plant life in design and the benefits of it.
Awesome. One of my favorite topics.
Biophilia is the actual phrase.
Biophilia. It's such a fun word, right?
It is a fun word. Here's a little just water cooler trivia for you, our listeners. Biophilia is the idea that humans have an innate tendency to connect with nature and other living things. The term comes from the Greek words bio and philia, which literally translates to love of life.
Oh,
Do
I
you
like
love
that. I didn't know that.
I know.
I mean, I probably could have thought about it long enough and put it together, but,
Yeah.
never had done that before.
But I always thought green, but it means love of life.
Love of life.
Harvard naturalist Dr. Edward O. Wilson coined the term in his 1984 book, Biophilia, to describe the rich natural pleasure that comes from being surrounded by living organisms. So you guys can just casually drop that the next time you're in a place that's using biophilia well. Or you can convince your spouse to let you buy a new plant.
Yeah, there you go. I guess it probably has to do with why, they say that putting a fish tank lowers your blood pressure, and brings calm because it's a life form that is contained. I think if there were puppies running around in a room, I wouldn't feel
A little less at ease.
comforted. But, when the fish are in there, and it makes me feel good because there's a life form over there doing its thing.
Yeah.
Maybe
So now we know,
the same kind of thing.
biophilia.
Yeah.
Love life.
I've often talked to clients about this because I find some pushback sometimes when I want to use biophilia in a project. And I have to say I use it in almost every project simply because it is our human connection with life, So when you think about a movie where they're going to Mars or another planet, TV show, whatever, and what are they looking for? They're looking for plant life because it tells us that we can survive there. We'll be okay, right? I will be okay. And I think it's the same way when we see plant life in a space or some other form, natural life form, even if it's water or the fish or whatever, that it tells us that I'm going to be okay here. So it does actually kind of register in biometrics in our body.
Yeah. Something you're sort of unaware that it's happening, but you know when it's missing.
Right. You know when it's missing.
Yeah.
That's right. So we could do a whole really amazing design with all these great textures and colors and lighting and things, but not have plant life in it or something that reminds us of nature, and it will feel stale and sterile.
Yeah. So there's that innate sense that we have, but there are actually studies that show how biophilia can help with mood and whatnot. Would you
100%.
just mention some of those things?
Yes.
The psychological effects.
Oh, for sure. So they can have a restorative effect that reduces stress and anxiety. So, putting these in school locations and educational spaces where maybe those stresses or anxieties might be higher is super important. Gosh, think about hospitals and areas like that, where stresses run high. Another great thing. It helps people recover faster in those environments. There's also been a study where they found that the biophilic environments can improve short-term memory by up to 14%. Can you believe that?
That's so interesting.
So, having those in senior living facilities, for sure, and memory care, that kind of environment. We've done projects that are trauma-informed design, and biophilia in those is a must. It's not just an option, it's a must because we need to bring down the anxiety levels in those spaces. They also have proven to increase creativity by impacting the cognitive functions and helping our moods be elevated. So it helps us access that part of our brain that wants to be more creative when our mood is lifted like that. They also have seen that they've decreased symptoms of depression and ADHD. So again, for those.
All good things.
I know.
In schools.
I was going to say back in those education environments, it's really great. And, one of the things I run into is clients that are nervous about putting plant life in a public space or a space where there might be people that, a couple of things, kids interacting with the real plants and soil and things like that. There's always some nervousness around that.
Sure.
And then just the maintenance of it. But here's what's funny is that where there is obviously some good benefits of having real natural plant life. I mean, just cleaning the air that we are breathing and all of that. But because it's a psychological thing, it doesn't matter if they're real or not.
Okay, I did want to ask you that specifically, if it made a difference. I mean, because, it'll clean the air and what is great, but you can have faux. And we've come such a long way.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Artificial flowers.
For sure, yes. I mean, there are some really great ones now. And, I mean, they cost more, but when you think about, you buy it once, and all you have to do is just dust it, which here's the 411 on that. It doesn't matter if your plant is real or fake. You're going to have to dust it anyways.
You're going to have to dust it.
I have these big, beautiful birds of paradise plants here in our studio, and they have huge leaves, and they're just dusty all the time. So that's just a note that you're going to have to dust your plants either way. So if you don't want to have to keep up with them and have a service or someone on your staff that waters these plants, it's great to do faux plant life.
You mentioned a little bit like how you've used some biophilia in your design.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be just a plant in a pot. I mean, there's these living wall systems now, which again, they can be real or they can be fake. Faux is a nicer way of saying that. Thank you, French people. But that's another way of bringing that in. Even just, like I said, the appearance of water, there's even some, patterns and things that remind us of wood textures and water and things like that can help that psychological piece that we can just bring in. And part of it's just breaking up the static line of what is formed and made, it's not natural. Right. So it's just interrupting that and disrupting those clean and static lines with something that's organic and natural that says to our brain, this is real life. And that's what sets us at ease. There's even studies about it reducing anger and fear, which is, the world we live in these days, wouldn't it be nice to have some of that reduced?
Absolutely.
So the more that we can engage nature in our designs, the better it is for us as human beings.
In an increasingly competitive market, the merits of using interior design as a strategic growth tool can make all the difference in not just surviving, but thriving.
Hasley Commercial Interiors, designed to help your business grow.